in today's video, we will talk about the chemistry lab, the process and the theory behind liquid-liquid extraction of acid and bases using a separatory funnel. So if the lab exam gives you this prompt, separate acid base, you would use a separatory funnel process and not the distillation extraction process, okay? So let's start with some theory. The idea is that you're converting an organic acid into its salt form, isolating that, and then converting the salt form back into its organic form. So because the salt form is going to be soluble in the aqueous layer, that's how you isolate the acid and the base. And you can do this by turning an organic into inorganic can be done by an acid-base reaction. So since this is an acid, you add the opposite, such as a base. And you keep adding that base until you reach a pH of around 10. If you were adding acid for a base, you would want to reach around pH of 2 to 3. And to convert it back into its organic form, you would add some concentrated HCl. So this is dilute. This is concentrated. Okay, some concentrated HCl just until a neutral pH. So same thing with base. First step is an acid-base reaction. And if you're doing the post-lab for this experiment, make sure to write out what is the reaction happening. It's really important. And the second step is to just recover by adding some concentrated acid or base, depending on what you want your product to be. Okay, so that is a theory. Now let's talk about the procedures. Separatory funnel. Put it on a ring clamp, checking the stopcock and the stopper at the top, making sure to always have something at the bottom to catch it. Ring clamp. Okay, so let's say we already dumped our stuff in here. Usually the water layer is gonna be at the bottom because it is more dense than organic solvents, so usually organic is at the top. However, there is exceptions if you are using DCM, dichloromethane, or chloroform. Those are going to be at the bottom. It's going to be more dense than water. So as you isolate, okay, let's just say we threw in some stuff in here. The first step to treat this is to stopper everything, close everything, and shake or invert. Then you swirl and you vent. So venting is like pointing the funnel like a gun, but at nobody. And you open the stopcock to let out some gas, then you close it. And you should repeat this 3 times. Yes, okay. Magic number, don't forget about it on exam. 3 times, and then you would let it rest for the separation to occur, making sure to open the stopper, otherwise the separation is not going to happen. So this is a stopper. And when you see the separation has occurred, you will drain it, but you only drain the bottom layer. The top layer, you dump it out into a funnel. So the bottom here comes down by draining, while the top layer goes out this way into another beaker. Okay, so that's how you use a separatory funnel. Now let's say you got your organic acid and your organic base. You got it in this beaker. There are processes you need to go through to treat this a little bit. So first is you want to add some sodium sulfate to dry out any water that might still be in this organic solvent. So this is absorbing the water, this extra water, but now you got some crystals in here. So you gotta go through gravity filtration to isolate the solvent from the crystal. Now, and then the lab exam, they also want you to say you should do an evaporation And hopefully you still have products at this point. So evaporation, reduced pressure evaporation. And the purpose is to just to really make sure that acid or that base is isolated. Yeah. So this is the steps. Oh, by the way, when you're doing this, like in terms of practical things, once you add this, let it set for 5 minutes. Otherwise, it's not fun. Okay, so on the exam, things to mention, obviously the theory, the layers, how to use a separatory funnel. Make sure to mention this and these steps. And also don't forget about gravity filtration and evaporation and the purpose of sodium sulfate.